before those services, in November, he'll probably want to get with you and sing through everything with you. Yeah. Because anytime, even if there's one piece that's added that we don't usually do, that's what we hit, before the service. But if you're doing several new pieces, then you want a time to get together, take your time, not be rushed. What? Oh, it really is 3 minutes before. They're about to close the gate, and I'm not on the plane yet. Kato? Yeah. It's Freud and Paula, Ein Eloheinu today. I know. Okay.
Just so I don't do it online?
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I had the other one, but I'd be scrambling.
That wouldn't be auto for the call by chance.
I'll look and see when we get that. Yeah. It says, no, J. Joseph Freudenthal. Oh. No. Oh, from Sweden, because that's a German name. Freudenthal.
Well, I mean, I knew him in Sweden.
Oh, I see.
I think he ended up only going to Scotland.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a German name. It actually, yes, it actually means happy valley. Or joyful valley, actually. No, that's just, I took German in high school. And traveling with daughter, kind of all.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
For our service this morning, we'll be using Trumat Halev for our Ben May Mitzvah until January when we start feeding things out, but we begin our service on page 46, Matovu.
Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Vani berov chastecha abo veitecha eshtachave el heichal kodshecha meiratecha. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu
Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael.
We turn to page 51. At the bottom, these are the things that have no measure, and please join me, leaving the corners of the field for the poor, the offering of the first fruits to the priest, making pilgrimage to Jerusalem, acts of kindness, and the study of the Torah. These are the things, the bounty which one consumes in this world, while the principle remains for us in the world to come, and they are honoring father and mother, acts of kindness, supporting the house of study, providing hospitality, visiting the sick, rejoicing with bride and groom, burying the dead, praying with intent, and bringing peace between two people. And the study of Torah is equal to them all. We continue on the next page, 52.
Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi tehorahi, ata virata, ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi. Ve'ata mishamra bekirbi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi
We continue on page 53 with Nasim B'Kol Yom, and these are our prayers of daily miracles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given my mind understanding to distinguish between day and night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me to be free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives sight to those who cannot see. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captives. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who raises those bowed low. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who spreads out the earth over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who provides for all my needs. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who makes firm each person's steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives Israel the strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from my eyes and slumber from my eyelids.
It's our great honor to welcome Mike to present to his daughter, Talit. We turn to page 62 with our Chetzi Kaddish.
יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן מעלמה ויאמרו אמן.
Able, we rise together, page 63.
Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך המבורך לעולם ועד המבורך, המבורך לעולם ועד.
Bottom of page 64.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who fashions light and creates darkness, who makes peace and creates all things. With mercy, God enlightens the earth and all of its inhabitants, and with goodness renews each day the work of creation. Eternal God, how great are your works! You have made them all with wisdom, filling the earth with your possessions. Be blessed, Adonai, our God, for the splendor of your handiwork, and be glorified for the illuminating light that you have made. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we may all swiftly merit its radiance. Bless you, Adonai, creator of light.
We turn to page 66 as we read responsively.
Adonai, our God, you have loved us with an abundant love. You have taken bountiful care of our sovereign source of strength. Because our ancestors trusted you, you taught them the laws of life. Be kind to us and teach us.
O merciful one, have mercy upon us and incline our hearts to understand, to comprehend, to hear, to learn, to teach, and to observe and uphold all the words of your Torah's teaching with love.
Enlighten our eyes with your Torah. Let our hearts cling to your commandments and unite us to love and revere your name.
Then we will never be put to shame. We place our trust in your great, holy, and awesome name.
We will rejoice in your deliverance. From the four corners of the earth, bring us upright to our land in peace. For you are the author of every deliverance. In truth, you have chosen us and brought us close to your powerful name, to thank you and to lovingly proclaim your unity.
Blessed are you, Adonai, who has chosen your people Israel in love.
אהבתנו אדוני אלוהינו חמלה גדולה ביתרה חמלת עלינו Hafarapa Ahaftanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola B'Teira Chamalta Aleinu Ba'avur Avoteinu Me'imoteinu Shematchu B'cha V'telamdei Chukei Chaim Kein Techonenu Utelamdeinu Kein Techonenu Utelamdeinu Ahafarapam Ahaftanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola B'Teira Chamalta Aleinu Chemla Gedola B'Teira Chamalta Aleinu V'ha'ereneinu b'toratecha v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha meyached levaveinu le'ahava u'l'yira et shemecha v'lo nebosh v'lo nikalem v'lo nikashel le'olam ba'ed ki b'shem kodshecha הגדול והנורא פתחנו, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Thou thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be upon thy heart. Thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thy eyes. Thou shalt write them upon the doorpost of thy house, and upon thy gates, that ye may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your God.
We continue responsively on page 71.
True and upstanding, beloved and precious, awesome and powerful, good and beautiful is this eternal word for us.
In truth, the God of the universe is our ruler. The rock of Jacob is our protecting shield. Throughout the generations, God is established, and God's name is established. God's words endure forever, faithful and precious through all eternity.
You have redeemed us from Egypt, eternal our God, and rescued us from the house of bondage.
For this, your beloved people praised you and exalted you as God, singing songs of praise, blessings, and thanks.
The sovereign, ever-living God is exalted and awesome, humbles the proud and raises the lowly. Frees the captive, rescues the humble, helps the poor, and answers the people when they cry out.
All blessings to God Most High. Moses and all Israel sang together the song of rejoicing. Page 72.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot osei pele, Nora tehilot osei pele, Adonai meloch leolam vaed. שירה חדשה שימחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד. יאי די 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 די, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da. Sur Yisrael, Kuma, Kuma, Be'ezrat, Be'ezrat Yisrael, Ufetei Chineumecha Yehudam Yisrael, Go'aleinu, 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 Adonai Tzevaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch Ata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
We rise together for our tefillah. page 74.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים צומח נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב על יד נביאך וקרא זה על זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מדיר שמך בכל הארץ ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו אחד הוא אלוהינו הוא אבינו הוא מלכנו הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי אני אדוני אלוהיכם ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור הללויה לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
In every generation we will tell your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, will never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God.
Page 78, 79, 79.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת מקדשי מקדשי שבי Shabbat Kulam yisbeu V'yitangbu mituvecha Shabbat Yismechu v'malechutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malechutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'gitashto Shabbat Chemdat yamim oto karata Shabbat V'yismechu v'malechutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malechutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Zeichel Lema'asei v'reshit Shabbat Zeichel Lema'asei v'reshit Shabbat Yismechu v'malechutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malechutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat.
We continue the bottom of page 80.
Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest be pleasing to you. Make us holy through your mitzvot, and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. With love and desire, bestow upon us your holy Sabbath. May Israel, who rests on Shabbat, sanctify your name. Blessed are you, Adonai, who makes the Sabbath day holy. Desire, Adonai, our God, your people Israel, and with love accept our prayers. And may the worship of Israel, your people, always be pleasing in your sight. O God, who is close to all who cry out, turn your face towards your servants, and be gracious unto us. Pour out your Spirit upon us, and with mercy let our eyes behold your return to Zion. Blessed are you, Adonai, who restores the divine presence to Zion.
We continue responsively on page 83.
We are grateful that you are forever our God and God of our ancestors, that you are the rock of our life, our protector and our Savior.
We thank you and sing your praises for our lives which are in your hands, and for our souls which are in your care, and for the miracles that are with us each day, and for the wondrous gifts that you bestow at all times, evening, morning, and midday.
Kind one whose mercies never fail, merciful one whose binding love will never end. You have forever been our hope.
Our Savior and Protector, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose essence is goodness and who is worthy of our gratitude. We continue on page 85.
Grant peace, goodness, and blessing, grace, loving kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people, Israel. Bless us, source of life, each of us with the light of your presence. For by that light you have given us, eternal our God, a living Torah, an unbreakable love, justice, blessing, and mercy, life and peace. May it be worthy in your sight to bless your people Israel, now and always with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with shalom.
Shalom, sim shalom, Shalom Tova Ubracha Chen v'chesed v'rachamim Aleinu me'al kol Yisrael Amecha Sim Shalom Sim Shalom Baruch atah Adonai hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
We take a few moments for our own silent prayer.
Ose shalom b'meromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu me'al kol Yisrael me'imeru amen. Ose shalom b'meromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom b'meromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu me'al kol Yisrael me'imeru amen. Ose shalom b'meromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Bereshit, the first parasha in the book of Genesis. Bereshit means in the beginning. Pretty self-explanatory. Bereshit is the beginning. It is when God created the world. In creation, God created the sea creatures, the land dwellers, the birds, bugs, and bats in the sky, and every creature in between was made. It is when God created the seas, land, sky, and probably most crucial to us, humanity. For my Devar Torah, I found the order of creation especially interesting. God makes the fruit, trees, and seeds on the third day, before the living creatures. There is a very clear plan set out before us in Bereshit. God sets up the world for the living creatures. God creates the night by retracting his light. He moves back to make room for us. He realizes that his creatures won't have any free will if he does not move back to make room for them. He already has a plan for every little detail. His meticulous craftsmanship shows up in every word of Bereshit. But you might ask, why? Why would God make the earth and all of its creatures? The answer is, he was lonely. He had nothing but himself. Loneliness is something everyone experiences, especially during the situation we have currently. We are made in his image, and why humans have such a profound sense of loneliness and isolation is because God does, or at least did. Whether mankind is a good companion is to be questioned. Humans feel many different emotions and feelings, and since we are made in his image, we can only assume God does too. Bereshit shows us many things, but out of all those, I chose to speak on loneliness. When God created Adam, God realized Adam was lonely. He thought this was not good. So he created Adam's partner, Eve. The image of loneliness is one everyone's mind can conjure, now even more. We were all separated for a very long time. Fun fact, most of you are even watching from online, including my mom. Hi, Mom. Quarantine kept us all apart. We had to learn how to socialize while staying home. I am sure most of us have used Zoom or WebEx or Google Meets or whatever your school or work decide to use. I'd use WebEx personally. However, we still learned how to communicate effectively. From what I saw, most younger people use Discord and Snapchat, most people in their 20s and 30s use Instagram and text messages, and most older people use Facebook. It's been scientifically proven that loneliness has negative effects. Even in some cases, people have argued that being too lonely can kill you. Now we have been going back to school and work, and more people have been getting to talk with people face to face. Yet people still don't have enough socializing. If you've ever felt like you wouldn't be able to socialize anymore after a break in school, you know the feeling. The feeling where you feel like you've fully forgotten how to speak correctly, think you won't know how to make jokes anymore, and the like. Loneliness is a big issue. A study was done of elderly people, and it indicated a 50% increased likelihood of survival for participants with stronger social relationships. Loneliness can literally be a matter of life and death. I personally make it a task of myself to become friends with the people who sit alone or don't talk. And most of the time, that actually makes sure I end up with better friends than I might have if I tried to befriend the most popular kids. Most of my close friends I have now, I got by doing that. So I ask you to spend time with your friends and family, because that is time spent benefiting everyone included. In conclusion, thank you to everyone who showed up, sent gifts, or is streaming. For my Bat Mitzvah project, I've decided to donate a portion of the money I receive to Alabama Wildlife Center to help them help animals in need. I also want to thank my parents for helping me grow into the person I am. Thanks to you all.
We now turn to page 89 for Seder Karat HaTorah, and we welcome Helena's father, Michael, to come to the bima. We rise together.
Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kemasecha, malechutecha malechut kol olamim, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני מלוך לעולם באין. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Afarachamim eitiva mirtzonecha et Tzion. Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim. Ki becha levad batachnu, melech elram benisa adon olamim. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato.
Helena, from what I've read, the first bar mitzvahs originated about 2,700 years ago. But the tradition of passing on Torah from generation to generation is as old as the Torah itself. Today, you and I stand together to take our place in this lineage. I'm not passing on to you words inked on the skin of a dead sheep. I am passing on to you a guiding light and living legacy that will endure as long as there are humans alive to receive it. In your Torah portion, you were told the tree of life was one of the 2 trees in the garden. In Proverbs, we are told that the Torah is a tree of life for those who hold on to it. We do not live in Gan Eden, and I don't expect you to pretend that you do. The world we are passing on to you is broken and in need of mending, maybe now more than ever. What I am passing on to you is a history of where we've been and a guiding light to where we can go. The Torah puts you in a position where you can grasp with one hand the tradition and history of our people, and with the other all the future holds for you. With the Torah and principles as your guide, it is up to you and the generations preceding you to right the wrongs, repair the broken, mend the wounded, and as a partner with God, continue the act of creation. What I'm passing on to you is the knowledge that in the beginning never had an ending, and it is time for your chapter to be written.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromema Shemo yachtav, Lecha Adonai hagedula vehagebura vehatiferet vehanetzach vehahod, ki chol bashamayim uvaretz, ki chol bashamayim uvaretz, lecha Adonai hamamlacha ve'amitnaseh lechol lerosh.
Again, we're reading from Parshat Breshit, the first Torah portion in the book of Genesis, beginning with verse 1:1. And for the honor of our first Aliyah, Kenner Whitner.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamborach,
Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Ba'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Ve'aretz hatatohu v'avohu ve'hoshech al panei tehom. Ve'ruach Elohim mirhefet al panei hamayim. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Or Vayhi Or.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah. And for our second aliyah, we call our Rabbi Ya'amod, Rabbi La'aliyah LeTorah. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Vayor Elohim et ha'ol kitov. Vayavdel bein mayim Elohim et ha'or uvein ha'hoshech. Vayikra Elohim la'yabasha eretz la'oyom v'la'hoshech al pnei kalai lala. Vayir vayhivoker yom echad. Vayomer Elohim et Echirakia betol hamayim yihi mavdil bein mayim ha'lamayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chai olam nata betocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. For our third aliyah, we invite up Michael, Elena's father. Ya'amod Michal aliyah LeTorah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Vayas Elohim et Alakia Shemaim Vayavdel bein hamayim atar mitachat la'akia uvein hamayim asher ma'al la'akia vayichen vayikra Elohim la'akia Shemaim vayikra vayerev vayivoker yom shini. Vayomer Elohim yikavu hamayim mitachat hashamayim asher emachom echad v'tera'eh ha'yabasha vayihi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'techeinu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Slide next to Kayla. Go slide next to Kayla. I'll hold it up for you, okay? And
For our final aliyah, we invite up our bat mitzvah herself to do her aliyah. Ta'amod Ya'el bat Michal aliyah LaTorah bat mitzvah. Baruch Adonai Hamrach Le'olam Va'ed.
Adonai Hamrach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Vayikra
Vayikra Elohim kitov.
Vayikra Elohim kitov. Eretz umigvei hamayim kalai yamim. Vayar Elohim kitov. Vayomer Elohim, Tachei ha'atzdesha, Esav Ma'azuya Zera, Eitz Pui, Oseh Pui Lamino, Asher Zarvo al ha'aretz, Vayichen, Tachei ha'atzdesha, Esav Ma'azuya Zera, Eitz Pui, Lamino, Oseh Pui Lamino, Asher Zarvo al ha'aretz, Lamino. Vayar Elohim, Kitov, Vayir, Vayivoka, Yom Shishi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu turat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach.
As the Torah is within our presence, we take time to think of those in our community who are in need of healing in body and spirit. On this Shabbat, we take time to think of Linda Applebaum, Cindy Silverman Bailey, Sophia Berry, Margaret Bell, Harold Seitling, Deborah Chagois, Roger Collins, Karen Edwards, Emmeline Fries, Ruth Grafman Fromstein, Edward Goldberg, Barbara Goldstone, Elaine Gross, Josie Hatfield, Evelyn Held, Donald and Maida Himmel, Norma Jill Jacobson, Corey Kessler, Laney Klein, Bart Kolber, Jerry Lapidus, Wayne Lewis, Jeffrey Muss, Leslie Simon, Liz Slive, Chrissy St. Charles, Meredith Hannah Walker, Jennifer Ware, Berna Weinstein, Jesse Weisberg, and Elisa Rosemore Whitehead. For those with us this morning, if you're thinking of a loved one and wish to share a name out loud, we invite you to do so as my eyes meet yours. For those names mentioned out loud and for those names that are still in our hearts, we continue with our Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Sheberach imotenu mekor habracha la'avotenu, cast those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We rise together as we lift the Torah, and this is where God punishes those who are right-handed.
וזאת התורה שרצה משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. In today's Haftarah portion, that is the section of prophets that is connected to our Torah reading, we have Isaiah proclaiming a world in which God would have Israel be in its homeland, in which the people Israel were a people of the covenant and a light to the nations. We are in our Siddur, our prayer book, on page 94 for Haftarah blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar bin v'im tovim, v'etzah v'divrahim hane'emim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai, haboher b'torah, uv'Moshe avdo, uv'Yisrael amo, uv'inviah ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Ka'omar ha'el Adonai, bo'ei hashemayim, v'notehem, oka ha'aretz, v'etza'echa, notein nashama la'am alecha, v'rach la'lohim bach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shel kol ha'olamim tzadik b'kol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'ema ha'omer v'oseh ha'medaber u'mekayim shekol dovav emet v'tzedek. That one. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lakavod u'tifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvahi mochat yivak shimka bifi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai umkadesh ha'shabbat.
Amen. Yasher koach.
We rise together as we return the Torah back to the ark.
Yehalelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado. Neshamayim Mayarem Keren Le'amo Tehila Lechol Chasidav Libnei Yisrael Am Gero. Me'ushar Teracheha Darchei Noam Mechol Netivoteha Shalom Shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha Menashuva Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
Paulina, we need you. No, stay up here.
I sound similar.
I know, it's the mask. On behalf of the clergy, our staff, and our board and directors, Lena, you did such a beautiful job, and I was so impressed with your Devar Torah that you spoke of another pandemic that we suffer from, which is loneliness, and we have ironically ignored and been lonely or shut out those who are lonely, and loneliness is very harmful. And so now as you become a bat mitzvah, I think we're all empowered, as your dad said, to continue to live on Lador by Dor, the chain of transmission of Torah, but I think you live by your words. That as you become a Jewish adult, you do everything we can to bring community, to bring empathy, to bring kindness to the world. And believe it or not, scientists looked at the ability when we make interactions with another person, when we say hello or talk to someone face to face, that it actually makes people happy. It helps people live longer. And you have such a great neshama. You have such a great soul. You've studied so hard. I told you this morning, that our Director of Education, Linda Gudgeon, speaks to your intelligence and your acumen, and above all, your kindness. And so therefore, as you become a bat mitzvah, we have some special gifts for you. You have your certificate of bat mitzvah, and we hope that you frame it in your walls to show your accomplishment. Something also really important is that the Alexander Muss High School in Israel experience, and you get to use this tuition discount of $500 if you ever want to study in our indigenous homeland, the state of Israel. Also, Nifty in Israel, the youth group, this is where you also can use a certificate to go study in Israel or have fun in Israel, any type of program. And on top of that, so we're still not done with gifts, the Max Freeman Youth Experience Bond can be used to include any type of meaningful Jewish experience. Again, study to Israel, I think you know where we're going, or any type for religious school education. Of course, Israel is very important to this congregation. And finally, we have some beautiful Shabbat candlesticks on behalf of our brotherhood and sisterhood, and may you use these candlesticks to enlighten your world. I ask the congregation to rise as we take our bat mitzvah before the ark for some private blessing.
That I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Lechi lach. And I shall make your name great. Lech lecha. And all shall know your name. To the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lach. And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
remain standing for our Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, לגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
On this Shabbat, we think of those who have passed away, these yortzites in years past. We think of Herman Adler, Lynn C. Alexander, Sadie C. Barstein, Rose Abraham Bayer, Sidney Barnstein, Ralph Carl Black Sr., Herman Blumberg, Dudley Burwell, Milton Cohen, Justin Cohen, Robert Coons, Barney Copeland, Dorothy Epstein, Alfred Friedman, Selma Friedman, Harold Goldstein, Rachel Graboff, Brian Grodner, Carrie L. Hagedorn, Geraldine Heyman, Joseph E. Hirsch, Hannah Kaufman, Mitzi Cronenberg, Gertrude Mazer, Rose Krentzman Otis, Annie B. Proshep, Sherman C. Raphael, Francis Roseman, Joanne Rosenfeld, Vernon R. Rosenthal, Joyce Routman, Aaron Sachs, Morris Solomon, Sam Spiegelman, and Benjamin B. Wolfe, and a heartfelt condolences on the recent passing of Kaki Colette Mendel, daughter of Charles Sr. and Joanna, sister of Charlie Jr. and Nancy Gerticke. May all the memories forever be a blessing. We rise together as united congregation for Mortar's Kaddish on page 103. Yikadal, Vikadash, Shmei Rabbah, Bioma, Divrach, Yote, Vamlich, Malchute, Bechayachon, Uvyomechon, Uvchaye, Tekol Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Uizman, Kari, V'yimru.
Amen.
Yehei, Shmei Rabbah, Nevarach, Le'olam, Olamel, Maya, Yitbarach, V'yishabach, Hipa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei Brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushvechata v'nechemata, damin ram bi'oma v'yimru.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru.
Amen.
Osei shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen.
Osei shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael me'imeru. Amen.
Our bat mitzvah him to the bima as we conclude with Ein Keloheinu.
Ein Keloheinu, ein Kadoneinu, ein Kemalkeinu, ein Kemoshienu, mich Eloheinu, mich Adoneinu, mich Kemalkeinu, mich Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adoneinu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagadol.
Amen. Take a
Amen.
sip. And hold up that challah. Hold it up. Cantor will help you. Just hold up the challah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Good Shabbos.
And wait.